Hi, once again, I'm Kevin Turner from Real Estate Talk, and welcome once again to Ask Michael Anything. Michael Yardney joins me from Metropole Property Strategist. Hi, Michael.
Hello, Kevin.
Michael, this time we have a question from Miriam from Ocean Grove. Where's Ocean Grove? Is that in Melbourne?
Yeah, it's actually on the coast near Lorne. It's a lovely spot.
Nice. Okay. Well, Miriam, thank you very much for your question. I've recently read that despite what's often written, property values don't really double every 10 years. Now, is that true? And if it is true, how long does it take for a property to double in value, and how can I speed up that process? Great question, Miriam. Michael, over to you.
I guess I read three questions in that, Miriam. The first question was, do property values double every 10 years? The answer is, in general, no. What we have to remember now, though, is we're in a period of lower inflation, lower interest rates, so therefore we don't need as big capital growth. Interestingly, I was investing in, and I know you were, Kevin, at times when interest rates were 12 and 18% and inflation was high, so you needed double-digit growth just to break even, didn't we?
We sure did. It was terrible.
So, and interestingly, in those high inflation times, properties didn't keep up with inflation. They didn't go up 20%, did they?
No.
So in today's environment, don't expect property values to double in 10 years, which means they're going to go up around 7% per annum. Now, I've got some statistics from CoreLogic RP data here, which show that in the last 10 years, property values in Melbourne got the closest to doubling. In other words, overall, Melbourne's property market went up 85%, so it didn't get 100%. Sydney's did 80%, Darwin's did 83%, and all the other states lagged. So overall, property values didn't double in the last 10 years. However, to get those sort of averages, Mary, what's happening is you've got some areas that have done better than others. So according to CoreLogic, in New South Wales, 302 suburbs doubled in value, 1,000 suburbs didn't, which meant about 23% of the suburbs did. In Victoria, about 30% of the suburbs did. In Queensland, only 1% of the suburbs did, and in Northern Territory, 21% did. So even in those markets where the overall market didn't do as well, there were selected areas that did. I guess it shows what I've often said, Kevin, that the general location does much of the heavy lifting, and then within that location, Kevin, you've got to own the right sort of properties.
One of the difficulties I've always had with this, how often does property double in value, Michael, is the fact that it just looks at the raw data of the sales data, doesn't really take into account the improvements that people make in the period of time that they're there.
Thank you. That's a very good point. So what this is looking at is the increase in value. But if you go to one of those new estates, Kevin, I bet you that's going to be one of the suburbs where property values will have doubled because there was raw land before, and then all of a sudden the median price of properties is worth a lot more. Or in some of the gentrifying areas where now there are a lot of townhouses that are worth $1.5 million when the old houses weren't. But it doesn't mean that the individual property, your or my house or your or my investment property, is going to double either. So you've got to dig much deeper, don't you, Kevin?
You certainly do, Michael. Thank you for clarifying that.
So how do we get those properties that double? You asked that question as well. And the answer is you want to buy the sort of properties that are going to increase in value because other similar properties are being bought by owner-occupiers. So we look for those sort of properties that are owner-occupier style properties. In my mind, an investment grade property will have a wide appeal to others who can afford to and are prepared to push property values up. So when you look at these suburbs where you find some that have done particularly well, in general it's where wages have gone up. And over the last 5-year census period, on average wages in Australia went up 20%, but in some municipalities wages went up 40%. So if you think about it, people in those areas who've got high disposable income, where their wages have gone up more than average, that suggests that they've got the ability to buy new cars, new toys, and also build new houses, improve their houses, and buy investment properties. So it really has a lot to do with the demographics of the area. That's how we choose areas that are going to outperform.
Always great talking to you, Michael. Thank you. You're a font of wonderful knowledge. Thank you.
My pleasure, Kevin.
Good. And I'm Kevin Turner, and we'll see you again soon. Keep those questions coming in. Just use the panel on the homepage at Real Estate Talk, and we'd love to answer your questions.